Hey, I welcome you to today's stream, and today it's another day. We are going to look into the foreign exchange market. We are going to look from the 20th of August to see what the market will present for the next week. So before that, I want to remind you that we have a training going on which is free. It's Women in Trading in collaboration with UHAS SRC Women Commission. So I invite all women, all ladies to be part of this training. Learn a skill. I'm not here to give you financial advice, but I'm here to train you to have something to hold on to. Yeah. So let's quickly move into the foreign market to see what the market will present to us for next week. So quickly, we will have some overview of last week. So last week, this what happened. AUD US dollar, we expected a sell, and immediately this pair hit this area of 0.65220. There was a drop to the downside. Even though we have not hit our take profit area, you should be in a big profit. So for next week, what are we expecting? We are expecting a move to the upside. So I'm expecting that this thing will move to either of these, but my preference is that it will move straight to around this area. So around 0.64482, and then a move back to the downside. So what then do I want in this market for next week? I want this to hit this area and then come down. Then if you also like this type of trading where you look at this as a range, and then when the range breaks to the downside, you pick that trade to the down. So something like this, but I'm expecting a first area to be this area. Okay, that's amazing, right? So for AUD US dollar, this is what we are expecting for next week. Is either you are entering here or you wait for a break of the range and then you pull the trigger around 0.63882. So your entry area for the first trade is 0.64449, and then you can put your stop loss above this area around 0.64780, and then you expect it to move to the downside. Now let's quickly go to Euro US dollar to see what we should be expecting. So last week, this was our trade plans for bears, and this was our trade plans for bulls. The bullish trade plan did not materialize because we want a move to upside up to 1.11010, and then a move back to 1.1031, and then we pull the trigger to the upside. But that didn't happen because fundamentally we saw that the pair is supposed to sell. So let me quickly show you my fundamental spreadsheet. Then you see what happened last week, that this pair was actually supposed to sell and not buy. So I'm going to show that to you in a few minutes time. So let me just set up this quickly and then show you something short about this particular setup. You'll love it. So this is the fundamental spreadsheet. So let's locate euro versus dollar here. So I'm going to euro dollar. So this euro dollar with a score of -2 here. Let's look at another one. So euro with a score of +4. Then let's look at this area. So you can realize that the overall shows that euro US dollar should sell, even though the sell is weak. So when you compare this to AUD USD, you realize that the AUD USD had a bigger reading, which is very strong sell. So you see something like AUD USD, you realize that there was a difference in the trade. So this was AUD USD. You can see a sharp drop from here, and this was the trade that I actually picked. You can see it that this trade was one of the perfect trade for last week. So let's look at pound against the dollar and see what fundamentally we should be expecting. So pound dollar. So pound dollar also shows a strong sell. So that's for pound dollar, a strong sell. A strong sell for pound dollar. So let's quickly move and see what the chart is saying about pound dollar. So GBP USD. So this is GBP USD, which our trade plan did not materialize because we want this range to be broken, and then a retest of the range will be our sell trade to the downside, but that didn't happen. So we are still waiting that in this particular week we will see a breakdown. So this week what I expect is I want a break of this area and then a retest of that area. Is an important. So I want something like this, and then we continue to the downside. Since fundamentally it's already showing us that we are going to be bearish, I will want a setup like that for AUD, for GBP US dollar, which means that I'm expecting a price around 1.27056 as my first entry, or I want a selling area of 1.27831, which is an excellent area to start selling that pair to the downside. I want to remind you that in the month of September, the pairs are going to move crazy. It's going to be crazy for all the US dollar pairs, either to the buy side or to the sell side. You have to be prepared. Just wherever the pair have broken up to, we are ready to pull the trigger. But remember, the month of September is going to be a very volatile month for the AUD, for the USD pairs. Okay, so now let's look at some JPY pairs and see what they are presenting for next week. Yeah, so this was some of our setups that we set up last week. Didn't happen, still active. We want this pair to move down to this area and then a move to the upside. So that's for Euro JPY. So let's look at GBP JPY. Alright, GBP JPY, we wanted a move here to this side for us to pull the trigger, but that didn't happen. So what do we expect now? What we expect is we want this thing to move down to that same area. It's also an important area. I'm not here to prove to you, but this is my thinking, this is my thought process on this pairs. I want this thing to move to this area here, and then I try to send it up. So that's my thought process. If it doesn't work, cool, but that's what I think about that pair. So this is AUD JPY, which I'm not actually interested in. So I'm going to look at Euro card, which I'm thinking of selling to see what is. So this is Euro JPY. So I want a breakdown of this range here, and then I'll be able to pull the trigger. But right now there is nothing correct there. So let's look at AUD card to see if we will get the sell there. Yes, so this AUD card, so I expect a sell around this area. So around 0.87259, I want a sell around that area to the downside. That's for the AUD JPY. Okay, so for AUD JPY, those are some of the things I'm looking at for. Yes, so I want this thing to move like this. So I'm trying to set it up for you, just something like this. I don't want and I want it to happen very quickly to prepare the pairs for. So that's what I wanted on that particular pair. So let's look at gold, which I was aiming at selling. Okay, so I aim at selling USD. Yes, so gold is actually selling. We are currently at 1889.545. So what do we expect from the gold trade next week? So for me, I think for next week I'll be aiming at selling the gold pair again to the downside to see if I will hit the target for the month of August on gold. So that's what I am planning for. So quickly, this is how I'll set this up. So you can see that for the gold pair, it's actually trending in a particular trend. So I'm going to use my regression analysis channel to find the gradient of this to see how I will be trading this. So what do I do now? I want this to move to the top of the range or this area and then to the downside. So I'm thinking like this. Yes, I always want to be at the safer side. If a trade doesn't happen, I've not lost. Yes, so this is what I want. Yes, so you can either hope for this or you follow the trend, which is something like this. So your first trade will actually be around this area. So I move to that area, will bring the gold trade to this area. If you are conservative and you want to follow a different strategy or different rule, which is something like you want this to break down, and then when it breaks down and then come back to retest, then you pick the trade to the downside. So it all depends on what you want to do in the market, and I'm just here to share my opinions and not to give you trading advice. Yes, I'm just here to share my opinion. This is one of the trades that went against us, USD ZAR. Okay, it's okay. Sometimes you have to lose some of your trades, but what do we expect for next week? Now this pair is forming lower low, lower high, but I'm actually expecting a higher high on the dollar pairs. So what do you think? Up to you to think whether it's a flag that it can now move and break to the upside. But because I'm following my fundamental analysis, this is an area of importance to me, and then maybe something like this. But I'm conservative, so I'm thinking of pulling my trigger around this area than actually this place. But you can say that this place is a very important zone for this particular pair. Yeah, so I want a trade around this area because I'm a bull on dollar, and I expect USD ZAR to go to the downside. Let's look at USD MSN. Yeah, so this MSN, which did not set to our standard, we want this thing to move to the downside, and here we are not able to catch it, but we caught something here. Right now you can trade this as a range. When the range breaks to the downside, you are interested in pulling the trigger after a range break. Okay, so now let's look at Euro AUD to see if we will get some nice setups here. So let's reduce our chart to see what we should be expecting for next week. So next week I'm interested in seeing or searching for maybe a resistance area at the top and try to bring this thing to the downside. So currently this particular pair is a strong bullish pair. Yeah, so I'll treat this as a range here. So I have two areas of my entry. This is my first one and this is my second one. So and I'm going up. So my first entry, which is 1.69195, and then my second entry, it's after a break to the upside, which is 1.69912. Thank you for being with me today. Thank you for always being here with me. I want to say thank you. And forex trading can be risky, and your past performance is not necessarily your future success. And do not trade money you cannot afford to lose. Don't trade your school fees. Don't trade monies you cannot afford to lose. Make sure you seek knowledge from a mentor or education. Have full understanding of what you are doing, and don't gamble with what you are doing. Learn what exactly you are supposed to do in the market. In this market, this is the global financial market, and then you will also be able to make a living out of this market. I'm not here to tell you trade advice. I'm not here to give you investment strategies. I'm just here to share my opinions and thoughts. Before I leave you, I want to tell you that there is a program happening which is titled Women in Trading. We are going to try to train women to understand this global financial market and have a skill. So if you are a woman, kindly visit www.jkmarkets.co.uk, navigate to Bootcamp Women in Trading, and then you see a registration form. Fill that registration form. You'll be added to a pre-WhatsApp group where you'll be stimulated to understand some of the basics of forex, awaiting the day of the commencement of this particular training. I want all of you there. Invite a friend, invite everyone to be part of this particular training. I wish you well, and I wish you a peaceful week. Have a wonderful day. Take care.